Welcome to Line Trading, taking a look at Friday's SPY recap before going over what to be looking for into Monday and next week. So here on Friday morning in the pre-market brief for Discord members, I explained that we had another gap up and you had to be paying attention to if we were able to fill this cup back to this level right here, and from there begin building that handle within the blue and yellow algorithm right here, see something like that, and we continue forming new all-time highs. Otherwise, you had to pay attention to this head and shoulder that I explained right here, and to be watching this liquidity off of this shoulder right here, which you can see we finally formed. There's also that within here. We close this inverse cup. There is this handle off of green. It's still pretty choppy right here. We're still within this range. We close this cup back at the 5-day moving average right here, and you see how we're trying to build that handle right here. Now, this 5-day moving average is very important, and we use it here any chance we get. I have explained for the past week, if you have not noticed, you have to be paying attention to it because this is now the fourth or fifth bounce off of it. You see right here, and we formed these inverse head and shoulders off of it. Now, yes, these are in the pre-market. Usually you don't get a chance to catch them, right? Another pre-market. So here on Monday morning, if there is once again another gap up, but it gets faded again, be paying attention to that and that 5-day moving average to finally break. Now you can see right here, one of our members, he has seen this 3 times this week. Now he might have missed it, but it is about still seeing it and understanding. People are trying to short this right here. Each time they're chasing this. So even if you just avoid chasing it until you actually see resistance below that 5-day moving average and us actually heading down before you start shorting the bottom, right? It would have been a great trade to the downside right here to catch. Great trade here, right? If you caught that down to the moving average, same thing right here with this head and shoulder, but you have to be protecting at it until it forms resistance and you see it continuing to grab that liquidity. Now we will take a look at the microstructure and algorithms here on Friday on the 1-minute chart. So now here on the 1-minute chart, in the morning, you can see that we have this choppy price action. Now there is a head and shoulder in there if you can see it, but again, still too unclear to really want to be taking that this early. Same thing right here, you have this head and shoulder. Looks like we're forming that inverse cup, but when it's time to form this handle right here, we do not see that continuation, and you see how we are within this blue algorithm right here. We cannot break out of it, and finally we begin to form this inverse head and shoulder right there. We close that cup, and within this yellow and blue start to build that handle, but again, this is just still too choppy for me to want to take. I did not like how this was looking right here, even though we did form that cup. I just did not like how we were forming that resistance right here at that level, and I was waiting to see if we started to form that inverse cup right here and something like that to the downside, which we later do, but it took some more time within this red algorithm right here, and you can see how we finally start tapering right here and begin to form that head and shoulder as well as this inverse cup back to that level. From there, that handle within the red head and shoulder. This one does not break down, but again, we form it right here, and there we finally start to see some movement after more chop. So these were good trades right here to the downside. This is still a bit choppy in here. Now with this right here as well, I explained that we needed to break below this level right here and see some sort of aggression. Otherwise, we could still be within this blue and yellow right there. And you see how we could start to form that inverse head and shoulder. But we also had to see that on the microstructure, which we did not within this pink algorithm right here. You see how we never grabbed this shoulder back to the upside, never closed that cup right here once again, right? Forming this right here with the blue and pink algorithms. So as we continue to head down with these head and shoulders right here that we talked about, I explained that you had to be paying attention to the green algorithm that was here. And as we started to form that handle right off of that inverse cup. You can see that shoulder as well. You had to be paying attention to that. And the 5-day moving average that was below right here in the case that we did break that, right, with a head and shoulder right here, which we finally ended up doing, giving us that move to the 5-day moving average. So with that move down to the moving average, you can see how we continue to form within this pink algorithm. We have these head and shoulders, but we close that inverse cup and the breakdown is not very strong right here. We don't start to see that move down quite yet. Same thing within this pink. And we're also within this lighter pink as well that you can see, but we're not breaking out and grabbing this liquidity to the upside. We're continuing to fade every pop. So once again, another head and shoulder. We close that inverse cup. There's a slight handle right here, and you see that continued dump to the downside. But when it comes time to form that resistance we talked about, we do not form that below, and we once again form this inverse head and shoulder back to the upside right here, back within that range. Now, like I explained, you have to be paying attention to if we do want to head back up, watch for this inverse head and shoulder back off of that level, and you can see how we try to form that shoulder right here, and we still possibly can, right? So now going over what to be watching into Monday and next week. So with this 5-day moving average, if we do have another bounce off of it, be watching for this to form right here and closing that cup back at this level right here with the blue and yellow, and see some sort of breakout if we want to continue higher, or we do finally give in and you see how we have that inverse cup back to that 5-day moving average, and we're beginning to form this handle right here. So pay attention to the green and white, and if we do form that right here and start grabbing this liquidity to the downside, closing the inverse cup back at this level right here. Now, if I zoom out some, you can see how we are possibly starting to taper up here within this white algorithm right here. And in the case that we do start to form that larger head and shoulder, be paying attention to it. Pay attention to this larger inverse cup, even if it does take more time to form. And then this handle right here to grab this liquidity to the downside right here from that FOMC meeting, which we had that rally up and gave us the move right here. Now pay attention because we are still within this blue algorithm and the yellow as well. And if we do want to start to form that right here, we very easily can and continue this rally. Be watching that purple buying continuation. You see how right here, right, we're within that blue and yellow. And if you're trying to short that, you have to pay attention that we can still begin to form this. And you see how we do. It is very slow, very choppy in here, but the structure can still do that and continue to form something like that if we need. So here on the daily chart, going over the trend, you can see that this upper Bollinger Band is still trending up right here. However, this moving average is starting to slow down a bit in terms of trending up with the upper Bollinger, and you see how when that happens, right, and we start to kind of run out of steam, this upper Bollinger Band, right, but we're starting to taper right here. You see how that tapering happens. So pay attention if we do start to taper right here and begin forming this topping pattern. Maybe we need a retest of that 20-day moving average and then we continue the uptrend, or we grab this on the way down and start to see another downtrend. You see how we start to form that right here as well. So just be paying attention to that. Now, next week, we do have quite a few Fed speakers, as well as Jerome Powell on Monday in the afternoon. So be paying attention to those, as well as the big one at the end of the week, non-farm payrolls. And then I did want to talk about the VIX. You can see how we're finally starting to see some sort of spike right here. So be paying attention to the VIX, and if we are starting to head back up, seeing some sort of volatility spike, maybe we begin closing some sort of cup back up to this level right here. Any of these you have to be paying attention to, or we get crushed again, right? And there is a head and shoulder, and we start breaking below this support. Just pay attention. Now, last thing that I have to say is JP Morgan's collar roll on SPX is tomorrow as well. Should start to see prices unpin from that 5750 area, but that is all I have. So thank you everyone for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see members in the morning.